Boldwood presents The Widow's Husband, written by Natasha Boydell and read by Melanie Crawley. Prologue. He has finally come for me. I can't breathe, can't move. His presence in this house again overcomes me, paralysing me in terror. The warning signs have been building up to this crescendo, but I ignored them. I told myself it wasn't possible, that I was imagining things. I was wrong. I can sense him behind me. I can smell him. The air between us is electric, making my skin tingle and my hairs stand on end. The panicked barks of my dog, trapped in the kitchen, amplifies my fear to an unbearable level. It has gripped me by the throat and is squeezing mercilessly. I should never have come back here, and now it's too late to turn back. Fate has led me down this path, on a terrifying journey that I can't comprehend or control. I buried this man a year ago. My husband. I grieved for him as a widow should do, and then I began to rebuild myself. I tried to let him go, yet somehow he is still here. He has defied all that we are taught about life and death, lingering in this world, haunting me day and night. He is not ready to leave because he has unfinished business, and that business is me. My mind is frantic, but reason begins to force its way through the wall of chaos. I have to think straight. This can't be real. It's my brain playing cruel tricks on me. My spiralling anxiety has plunged me into paranoid delusions and made me see and feel things that aren't really there. If I can just force him out of my mind, then I can make this stop. I cling to this hope like a life raft, summoning my inner strength to banish this demon once and for all. I will myself to open my eyes and look in the mirror on the wall in front of me. I tell myself that I will see nothing but my own reflection, and then I will be able to breathe again. A floorboard creaks and I choke, terror suffocating me once again. Reason disappears because I can no longer deny the truth. Somehow, he is in this room, and he's getting closer. I can feel death in the air. It engulfs me, consumes me, and it's coming for me. Defeat trickles through my veins, like a hunted animal who knows they've been caught. There is no escape now. Keeping my eyes closed will not protect me from what is about to happen, because my moment of reckoning has finally come. You will never live without me. Another creak. As I slowly open my eyes to look in the mirror, I brace myself for what I will see. There is a shadowy figure standing right behind me, and as I adjust to the darkness, our eyes meet in the reflection. I stagger forwards, clutching my chest. My legs buckle underneath me and I begin to fall. The last thing I see before I crash to the floor is a pale face, two large dark eyes glistening with malice, and a haunting smile. It is the face of evil. Chapter 1. 8 months earlier. I stare at the 2 steaming mugs of coffee sitting on the kitchen counter and frown. I don't remember making them, but I must have done. There is no one else in the house but me. How did it happen? How could I have gone through the motions of making 2 cups of coffee without even realizing what I was doing? What is happening to me? I tighten the belt of my flannel dressing gown and pick up one of the mugs, the one with the cartoon dogs on, because the other one is his. Was his. With my free hand, I pick up the newspaper and walk to the living room, sitting down on the faded patchwork armchair. I put my coffee down and try to read the front page news, but I give up after a few paragraphs. I toss the newspaper to the side and stare out of the window instead. A woman walks past the cottage with a dog. She is probably around my age, but she looks younger. Her bare arms are toned, and there is no middle-aged spread protruding from the belt of her khaki shorts. Her long, highlighted hair is tied back into a stylish ponytail, and her cheeks are glowing. I imagine she does yoga and eats kale. I wish I was her. I sigh and reach for my coffee, taking a small sip. It's like a hit of liquid gold, and I take another, larger gulp, wincing as the hot water scalds the back of my throat. The dog walker has gone, and the window is a blank canvas as I wait for the next passer-by. This is my life now, watching other people live in the world that I have retreated from. My stomach rumbles, and I contemplate making 4 slices of toast and slathering them in butter and jam. And then I remember the dog walker's muscular arms, and I remain on the sofa, battling with indecision. I want to look after myself better, but I have no reason to get back into shape. There is no one to impress, no one to care what I look like, no one to hide from as I stealthily snaffle an entire pack of chocolate digestives. It should be liberating, but instead I descend further into misery. My husband has been dead for 4 months. The tasks of contacting relatives and organising the funeral are behind me. The sympathy calls and letters have dried up. His belongings have been neatly packed into bags and stored in the spare room until I take them to the charity shop. The financial matters, as bleak as they are all in hand. The busyness that comes with death has passed, and there is nothing left for me to do. In a strange way, I miss the admin because it kept me distracted and prevented me from facing reality. Now I'm alone with my thoughts, and they follow me around all day and haunt me at night. It's like I'm living in an echo chamber, and I can't find my way out. I have not left the house in weeks. I'm the one who is still alive, and yet I've become a ghost, wandering aimlessly around the empty rooms, opening the door only to the postie and the grocery delivery driver. It's no way to live, I know that. And yet every time I try to step out of the door, fear grips me, and I quickly close it again and retreat into the safe sanctuary of my house, where I don't have to face the world. I'm trapped in a pattern of lethargy and agoraphobia. If I'm not careful, I'll become a recluse. Perhaps I already have. I haven't been on my own for over 30 years. I've forgotten how to do it, how to be my own person. When you live in the shadow of someone for your entire life, it seems inconceivable to step out into the light again, no matter how much you yearn to do it. I am 51 years old, and yet I feel like a centenarian. Maybe it's my punishment for being alive when he died. He was always the stronger one, the one people gravitated to. I was nothing compared to him. No one would have missed me if I'd been the one to pass. I doubt anyone would have come to my funeral, except for the friends and colleagues of my husband, out of a sense of duty. Perhaps it should have been the other way around. Because it's not just fear that's imprisoned me. It's guilt. I broke the wedding vows I made to my husband when I didn't look after him properly. I was a failure of a wife, and I know this because he told me all the time. I didn't take care of myself. I didn't fit in with the wives of his colleagues. I couldn't give him children. I didn't cook or clean properly. I ignored his stress and turned a blind eye when he refused to take life-saving medication. I was not a good wife. But he was not a good husband either. I finish my coffee, and as the caffeine courses through my veins, it gives me a surge of optimism. Today will be the day that I leave the house. I will go for a walk around the village, stretch my legs and breathe in the scent of summer, cut grass and flowers. My body needs it. I need it. With a renewed sense of purpose, I stand up and climb the stairs to take a shower. I turn the radio on, and the silence is filled with the energetic voice of the breakfast DJ, reminding me that while I've been self-imprisoned, life has continued without me. And I want to reach a hand out and grasp it again. I want to live. After my shower, I dry myself and slip into a shirt and skirt. I blow-dry my hair and put on some makeup, and then I gaze at my reflection in the mirror. If the dog walker passed me on the street, would she smile at me? Would I have the confidence to say something to her? Just a simple good morning. Perhaps we might even engage in some small talk about the weather. But as my gaze drifts down to my frumpy shirt, hope seeps out of me. The dog walker probably wouldn't even notice me, because I am invisible. I sit down on the side of the bed, my earlier enthusiasm depleted. I will not go out today after all. I will go downstairs, read the newspaper, watch a bit of television, and eventually succumb to the multiple slices of toast I have been craving since I woke up. The radio is playing a ballad now, someone singing about a lost love, and it pierces through my heart, painful and overwhelming, a reminder of what my life could have been. I can't listen to it anymore. I turn the music off, and then I look out of the bedroom window at the sunlight streaming in and the tops of the trees. I think about the extra mug of coffee I accidentally made this morning, which is still sitting on the kitchen counter, cold and curdling. I close my eyes and imagine 1,000 days, each one the same, a void of loneliness, until eventually I die and no one notices. I picture the police turning up months later when a neighbour complains about the smell and finding my decaying body. No, this will not do. My eyes snap open, and before I have time to change my mind, I march down the stairs, put my shoes on, take my handbag from the peg, and throw open the front door. The bright light engulfs me, and I shield my eyes from the sun, rummaging around in my bag for my sunglasses. I head tentatively up the garden path and onto the pavement. My legs feel wobbly from weeks of inactivity, but I force myself to keep going. I have no plan for where I will go or what I will do. I just need to be out. I glance at the neighbour's house as I pass, at the children's bikes abandoned on the front lawn, and the garden gnome who watches me intently. We have lived here in this quaint Hertfordshire village for 3 years, and yet I don't even know my neighbours' names. I don't know anyone's names. It wasn't always like this. There was a time, long ago, when I had friends, when I socialised, gossiped, laughed and lived. It feels like 1,000,000 years ago now. But I still have it in me. I know I do. As I walk, the sun warms my face, and memories come flooding back of a forgotten time, working in the Mexican restaurant and giggling with the other waitstaff, scoffing fajitas after my shift, drinking white wine spritzers in pub beer gardens on a Saturday afternoon, jogging and weekend walks, fun and laughter and companionship. I want it again so much it hurts. Each step I take reminds me of what I crave. There is room in this world for a widowed, middle-aged woman to enjoy life, not as I did in my 20s, but in new and different ways. There is nothing stopping me but myself. And yet the fresh air and exercise is giving me hope, and I raise my head to the sun, push away my crippling insecurities, and let the warm rays drench me with small ambitions. A young couple are walking towards me on the pavement, and I smile. They give me a nod as they pass, and I glow with satisfaction. They'll have forgotten about me in a minute, but that tiny interaction will stay with me for the rest of the day. It emboldens me as I walk towards the centre of the village, which is little more than a church hall, pub, and a scattering of small shops. Perhaps I'll go into the cafe and have another coffee. I'm feeling braver now, and I walk with determination towards the high street, my gaze fixed on the cafe door. At the last minute I swerve, narrowly avoiding a woman pushing a buggy, mutter my apologies, and keep walking. I will go tomorrow. Today, just being outside is enough. As I pass the pub, which is still locked at this early hour, I see a poster stapled to a notice board outside. Looking around self-consciously, I stop to read it. It's advertising a psychic supper, taking place the following Saturday evening. Everyone welcome to attend this community event, it says. Pre-booking advised. A thrill runs through me. I don't believe in the paranormal, but it still feels like a sign. Is this my opportunity to attend a local event and meet some new people in the village? Perhaps even make friends? I can't be the only person thinking of attending on my own, surely. The idea of walking into a busy pub terrifies me, but fear is now competing with anticipation. This is my chance to re-engage with society. If I can just find a way to make myself walk through that door, it could change my entire life. I'm going to do it, I decide triumphantly. I take a photograph of the poster on my phone so I can buy a ticket online when I get home. This is the start of a new chapter, and I imagine joining the community that I've been watching from my window for so long. Book clubs and dinners and walks with like-minded friends. I wonder if the dog walker will be going to the event, and I feel nervous and excited, but at least I'm feeling something. As I begin to walk home, I think about browsing the M&S website for a new outfit to wear, one that makes me feel more confident about myself. I pass some more people on the pavement, and I smile shyly at them. Each small interaction is a personal victory. I can already feel the psychological shackles that have chained me loosening. I am allowed to move on. There is nothing stopping me anymore. No one standing in my way but myself. But it's enough for one day. I'm exhausted. My stiff legs are complaining, and my stomach is rumbling. I'll go out again tomorrow, and the next day. Maybe even start clearing out the spare room and taking boxes to the charity shop. The world, dull for so long, gleams with possibility, and it's intoxicating and addictive. I want more of it. When I get back to the cottage, I'm suddenly aware that I'm being watched. I look up, half expecting to see my husband's face in a window, home early from work, his gaze fixed on mine. But of course, there's no one there. Yet the sensation persists, and an uncomfortable feeling settles over me. I glance anxiously behind me and spot a black cat sitting on the pavement, staring at me with sleepy eyes. We gaze at each other for a few seconds, and then I crouch down and reach a hand out towards the cat. It looks at me, unblinking, for a few moments before getting up and slinking away. I stand up with a wince, open the door, and step into the cool hallway. Take off my shoes and return my bag to the peg, grateful that my mind is busy with jobs to do. I need to buy a ticket to the psychic supper, look for an outfit, choose the first lot of things to take to the charity shop. But then I feel it. Despair. It's been waiting for me, and now it creeps over me, rising from the tips of my toes to the top of my head, until it has covered me like a blanket. You will never live without me. And, once again, the joy evaporates until I can't imagine it ever having been there. Chapter 2. The pub is full when I push the door open and glance inside. It's noisy and suffocating. Nerves churn my stomach as I look left and right, trying to decide where to go and what to do with myself. My hands are trembling. This was a mistake, a monumental error in judgment. To calm myself, I try to concentrate on the surroundings. The pub decor is somewhere between a traditional village boozer and a modern gastro-style eatery. Original exposed beams painted white, floorboards varnished until they shine. It's probably designed to be warm and inviting, but I still feel like an unwelcome guest. My body is drenched with sweat, and my new navy M&S dress is clinging to my clammy skin. It's even more oppressively hot in the pub than it is outside, and I begin to feel lightheaded. I sway in the doorway, my eyes wide and my mind frantic. I think I might faint. I'm just about to turn around and flee when someone calls out, "Hi there!" I look up in alarm to see a man striding towards me. "Are you here for the psychic supper?" he asks. "That's right." My voice sounds shrill and unfamiliar. I haven't spoken to another human being in weeks. I reach into my bag and produce the ticket I printed at home, proffering it to him shakily. He takes it and gives me an encouraging smile. "Welcome. I'm Mark, the pub landlord. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Take a seat wherever you like. Dinner will be served in half an hour." I glance anxiously around and see that the pub tables have been set, bottles of red and white wine placed in the middle of each one. Many tables are already full, but on others there are some spaces. The sound of chatter fills my ears, echoing around my head. I wanted company, but this is too much. It's too loud and intense. I should have started off with something smaller, like the cafe or the library. What on earth was I thinking? I could still leave. No one would care or even notice. But then I catch a woman's eye and she beckons to me. I take a deep breath and slowly make my way over. "Hi." She smiles warmly at me when I reach her. "Are you on your own too?" "Yes." My voice is husky and out of practice. "Thank goodness. Come and join me. I'm Beth." The woman extends a hand and I shake it, ashamed of my sweaty palms. "Maggie." "Hi, Maggie." Beth gestures at a chair. "Red or white?" I glance at her full glass of white wine. "White, please." Beth pours me a glass and I take it gratefully. The wine is cool and crisp, and it goes straight to my head, reminding me that it's been a long time since I've had a drink. "This is Gary." Beth points to a man around my age sitting opposite her. "And this is Alyssa." Alyssa smiles at me, and I recognise her as the pretty young woman with the buggy who I nearly crashed into outside the cafe. If she remembers me, she doesn't show it. "We're all here on our own too," Beth continues. "So I guess this is the singles table." I laugh nervously at the joke. I suppose I am single, but I've never really thought about it. It hasn't once occurred to me that I might meet someone else, only that I might find a way to live on my own. That would be more than enough for me. Despite not previously knowing each other, my companions seem to be at ease already. But this is the first time I've socialised with anyone since my husband's funeral. If you can call that socialising, and I wonder if I can still remember how to do it. I take another bracing sip of wine. "What brings you here?" Beth asks. She has an open, inquisitive face. I do a quick appraisal and decide that she's probably in her early 40s. She has thick, long red hair and freckles across her nose. She's lovely in an outdoorsy, wholesome way. I shuffle in my seat self-consciously. An opportunity to meet new people, really. I reply. Get to know some others in the village. How about you? Curiosity. I've always wanted to go to a psychic supper. She leans in and says quietly, and I've recently lost my partner, so I'm hoping that he might have a message for me. I'm so sorry to hear that, I say automatically. But Beth's words have triggered an internal panic alarm. I have been so consumed with the idea of getting out that I haven't considered the true purpose of this evening, beyond some sort of fun show. What if the psychic has a message for me? I can't even bear to think about it. I talk some sense into myself. There's no way that the psychic can really communicate with dead people. This event is just for entertainment purposes, a chance for people grieving their loved ones to have some comfort, and while I do not judge anyone who hopes otherwise, I am not a believer. There is nothing to fear beyond my own social incompetence. I tune back into Beth's words. It's been hard, she is saying, her eyes filling with tears. I still miss him every day. I try to empathise. My husband passed recently too. She puts a hand on my arm. I'm so terribly sorry. I know how it feels. This woman has no idea how it feels. I've only known her for 5 minutes, but I can tell she's a good person. She was probably a wonderful, loving partner in a happy relationship. I imagine a content couple going on long hikes, holding hands, putting the world to rights. I, on the other hand, failed my husband, and he never forgave me for it. I'm the reason why our marriage fell apart, because I was so useless at everything. Why there were no children to carry on his family name. No little boy to play football with, or little girl to worship. Why he ate, drank, and worked himself to death, because there was nothing else to do. Does this make her more entitled to her grief than me? I think it does. She looks at me intently. Do you feel guilty sometimes? When you laugh at something, or forget what happened for just a few short seconds? Yes, I whisper. I'm so glad you said that, because I do too. We don't know each other, yet the conversation is so intimate, it's like we've been friends forever. The wine and the connection with this stranger make me giddy, but I need to be on my guard because I don't want to put my foot in it and say anything stupid. If she realises that I'm a sad old woman with no friends, she'll probably keep her distance. Beth refills my rapidly depleting wineglass. Do you live in the village, Maggie? Yes, Bridge Street. How about you? Just a few miles up the road, Harpenden. Beth turns to Gary and Alyssa, bringing them into our conversation. I learn that Alyssa is married with 2 sons, aged 18 months and 3, and this is her first night out in months. She recently moved to the village from London and is adjusting to the change in pace. She's young and energetic, and her enthusiasm is infectious. Her dark black curls are shiny, and her skin is flawless. I'm almost captivated by her beauty, but her mannerisms suggest that she doesn't know just how pretty she is. Gary is divorced and lives with his son, whose wife is expecting a baby. I'm not surprised when he tells us he's a landscape gardener because he has sun-bleached fair hair and the tanned, firm arms of a man who spends time working outdoors. But his beer belly suggests that he likes a drink, and he goes to great lengths to tell us he is here tonight because he's good friends with the pub landlord, and not because he believes in all this hocus-pocus nonsense. I wonder what they make of me. But they all seem friendly and eager to engage in conversation. Although they're so chatty, it's hard to get a word in edgeways, and that suits me just fine. I listen to their stories without feeling under too much pressure to join in, and slowly I begin to relax. What a delight it is to be out, to hear other people's stories and laugh at their jokes. I can't believe I've been depriving myself of this for so long. The loudness of the pub is no longer intimidating. It's comforting. It's just like riding a bike, I tell myself, remembering what it was like to have friends and to have fun. And if they're just talking to me because they feel sorry for me, then so be it. I'll take that over another evening in the cottage on my own, staring into the abyss. As the wait staff bring over our starters, little parcels of ravioli that melt in my mouth, and the wine numbs my nerves, I ease into the evening. I talk as little as possible about myself, explaining that I've lived here for a while but haven't really got to know anyone yet. There are murmurs of agreement or sympathy, but no judgment. Alyssa gives me a smile that suggests she knows how I feel. Beth advises me to check out the notice board in the cafe, where she's seen flyers for various local clubs that might interest me. I thank her and deflect attention away from myself again by asking Alyssa about her boys. She tells us all about her busy family. Her husband works in London most days, and she's a full-time mum. Her elder son is at preschool, but the younger is still at home. I feel a pang of sadness, as I always do when people talk about their children. I imagine the different life I could have had if I'd had my own. The love and happy chaos that would have filled my home, drowning out the silent disapproval, banishing the loneliness. But tonight is about living in the moment, not dwelling on the past, and I try to focus on Alyssa. So then, Thomas asked me if I was meeting Robin, and I couldn't work out what on earth he was talking about until I realised he thought I was going to a sidekick supper, not a psychic supper. He was disappointed that superheroes wouldn't be there. Gary and Beth hoot with laughter, and I join in, enjoying the sensation of it. "Do you have children, Maggie?" Beth asks me. Shame consumes me on cue. "No, I don't. Me neither," Beth says cheerfully. "I've never felt maternal. I've got nothing but admiration and respect for women who have babies, but they're not for me." I envy Beth intensely in that moment. Her satisfaction with her life and her control over her own decision-making. And then I remember that she has lost her partner, and I feel guilty for thinking, even for a split second, that she has it easy. "I thought I was done with babies," Gary confesses, "but there'll be a newborn in the house in a matter of weeks." The conversation moves on to extortionate house prices, which is why Gary's son and his wife had to move back in with him to save money for a deposit. By the time we've been served our main courses, I've almost forgotten the reason why we're here. But then a silence descends as a woman walks into the middle of the room and naturally commands our attention. We all turn to gaze at her. She's not like how I imagined her to be. She's wearing normal clothes. She looks just like one of us. She's probably been in the room all evening without me even noticing her. But from the authoritative way she stands and casts her eyes around, I know she is the psychic. She begins to talk, introducing herself as Zara and explaining how the evening will work. We listen, rapt, as she says that this will be a fun and informal event, and warns us that she will not have messages for everyone. Thank God, I think. I don't want to attract any attention to myself. I want to blend into the background and be a passive observer, to enjoy other people's reactions to Zara's messages and witness their healing. As Zara walks slowly around the room, I begin to feel nervous again. I keep my eyes lowered, avoiding eye contact and hoping she'll get the message that I don't want to interact. I'm a spectator tonight, not a participant. She takes her time, wandering from table to table, and when she reaches ours, I hold my breath. But she moves on, and I exhale again. She goes over to another table and stands in front of an apprehensive-looking woman. "Your sister is here with us tonight," Zara says. The entire room inhales, and even I'm getting a little caught up in the moment. I glance at Gary, and he rolls his eyes. "Mary," the woman gasps. Zara nods. "Yes. She wants you to know that you need to stop feeling guilty over what happened to her. It wasn't your fault." The woman begins to cry, and her husband comforts her. "You kept telling her to go to the doctor, but she wouldn't listen," Zara continues, and the woman nods vehemently. "She says that she was too stubborn and nothing you could have said would have made any difference. But she wants you to know that she's okay. She says it's time for you to move on and be happy again." We all watch, enthralled, as the woman sobs, grief and relief spilling out of her. Even Gary is looking a little moved by the tender moment. "And she also says she's sorry for stealing your clothes when you were younger, especially the red dress, which she never told you about." "I knew that was her." Now the woman is laughing through her tears, and the whole pub joins in. Some people are wiping their eyes. But the interaction has unnerved me. How does Zara know all of this? It's so specific, so convincing. I can almost sense this woman's dead sister in the room. Could Zara really be talking to her? Zara is on a roll now. She walks around the room, giving out messages, some funny, some sad. The audience cries and laughs and cheers. I should be enjoying myself, but with each message my fear accelerates. Why did I come here, of all places? This woman is eerily accurate, and I dread what message she might have for me. I fear it will not be a message of love like the others, but one of reproval, or even worse, threat, which will expose my marriage for what it was, what I tried to ignore. I will be humiliated in front of all these people. The food, wine, and nerves make me nauseous, and I'm becoming increasingly claustrophobic. I must leave before it's too late. I stand up and clutch my bag, aware that I'm drawing attention to myself, but I don't care. I need to get out of this pub. Zara appears in front of me, blocking my exit. Her commanding presence makes me sit back down obediently, as meek as a schoolgirl. I'm shaking, despite the heat. "Your husband is here," she tells me, and I hear a collective intake of breath from Beth and Alyssa. The food and wine are curdling in my stomach, and I think I might vomit. He says the back door key is in the plant pot on the dresser. Everyone in the pub laughs except me. I stare at Zara wide-eyed. Of all the messages she could have given me, I was not expecting this. Is it some kind of a joke? Anyway, she's wrong. The key is in a kitchen drawer where it always is. I've kept it in the same place ever since we moved to the cottage, although I rarely use it because I don't go out into the garden. Come to think of it, I haven't seen the key in weeks. Suddenly, I need to know where it is. It is of critical importance, because if the key is in the drawer where it is supposed to be, then I'll know for sure that Zara is a fake. But she's not done yet. She's still hovering over me, and I wonder if this is just the start. If Frank has something else he wants to tell me. "You will never live without me." Zara pauses, frowns, and then she shrugs. "I can't reach him anymore. I'm very sorry. It happens sometimes. I'm sure there was much more he wanted to say to you." She moves away to the next person, and I remain stock still, stunned by what has just happened. I picture the dresser, the old plant pot sitting on the middle shelf. I need to get home and see if the key is there. I won't be able to rest easy until I do. I have to go, I say, standing up again. The others look at me with concern. Wait. Beth reaches for her bag. You're upset. Let me walk you home. No, it's okay. I don't want you to miss the rest of the evening. I'm fine. Give me your number then, and perhaps we could meet for coffee. This is exactly what I wanted. The opportunity to make friends. Beth and I got along well, so the invitation to meet again should please me. But as I hastily give her my number, I just want to escape. An uneasy sensation has crept over me. Is Frank really here? Is he watching me? I rush towards the exit and a few people glance at me, but no one says anything. It's a relief to be outside, but the fresh air does nothing to soothe my anxiety. I half walk, half run back to the cottage, fixated only on looking for the back door key. It cannot be in the plant pot. It will not be in the plant pot, because I have never once put the key there. I'm sweating again and gasping for breath when I let myself into the house. I dash into the living room, wiping my clammy forehead with my hand. There it is, the blue glazed pot. It must have had a plant in it once, but not for a long time. I take a deep breath, lift it carefully off the shelf, and peer inside. I see a matchbox in there, some used batteries, a couple of business cards. I close my eyes and exhale with relief. No key. My pulse begins to return to normal. Already I'm thinking about putting the kettle on, perhaps having a bit of chocolate to take the edge off, as I missed dessert in my haste to leave the pub. It was the wine that did it. It set me on edge. I've never been a big drinker, even when I was young, and I'm well out of practice. I'm embarrassed now about how I reacted. I ran out of the pub like a madwoman. What must Beth, Gary and Alyssa think of me, and the rest of the people who attended? What if I become known as the village crazy woman? Then I remember that lots of people became emotional this evening, not just me. And anyway, Beth asked for my phone number, so I can't have scared her off. I can't believe I thought, even for a second, that my husband might be there. He's dead and buried. I'm delirious with relief, and I laugh out loud, the sound of my voice cutting through the silence of the room. I begin to put the plant pot back, but change my mind. I'll get rid of those batteries, goodness knows how long they've been in there, and I'll put the old business cards into the recycling. Maybe I'll buy a new plant to brighten up the room. As I reach in to lift the detritus out, I see a glint of something silver at the bottom, and I gasp. The batteries I'm holding fall to the ground with a clatter and roll across the floorboards. I turn the plant pot upside down and tip out the contents, which scatter messily across the floor. I scan the ground frantically, my eyes searching for what I fear the most. And then I see it. The dull silver metal reflecting the evening light. And the world closes in on me. It's the back door key. Chapter 3. Frank and I were teenagers when we met. I was 16 and had a summer job working in a shoe shop. He was buying a new pair of trainers. I fell in love with him the moment that I saw him. I attended a Catholic girls' school at the time, and I had limited experience with boys, particularly ones as good-looking as Frank. So when he walked in and asked for some assistance, I couldn't hide my blush. He was tall, with piercing brown eyes, and hair so dark it was almost black. His stubbly chin made him look masculine, so different to the boys who hung around outside the school gates on Friday afternoons, waiting for departing girls to chat up. He was only 3 years older than me, but back then the age difference seemed vast. I was a pretty girl. My long fair hair gleamed thanks to my diligent 100 brushstrokes a day routine, and I'd started experimenting with small amounts of makeup. Even though I went to a girls' school, I was of the age where I was acutely self-aware and wanted to look my best. I was curvy in a way that I knew boys admired from their appreciative gazes when I walked past them on the pavement. Some of my friends had older brothers or invited boys to parties, and I'd had crushes and a few awkward kisses, but I'd never had a boyfriend. As Frank talked to me, I couldn't tear my eyes away from him. It was as though he was imparting some great wisdom of the world, rather than informing me of his shoe size. When I realised that he was holding out a trainer, waiting patiently for me to take it while I stared at him, I turned a shade of beetroot, and from the way he smiled, a little smugly, I knew he knew what I was thinking. I felt exposed, and it was terrifyingly thrilling. In the back room, I fanned myself with an old discarded slip of paper and tried to calm myself down. But when I emerged a few minutes later with a pile of shoeboxes, the sight of him sent me into a nervous frenzy again. He was so relaxed, so handsome, and so cool. I tried to keep my wits about me as I took the tissue paper out of the shoes and loosened the laces for him. When he reached down to take the trainer from me, our hands briefly touched, and a jolt of electricity ran right through me. To my disappointment, Frank bought the first pair of trainers he tried on, and a few minutes later, he was gone. I was deflated, certain that I would never see him again. Resigned to going back to my boring life, which now seemed empty and meaningless without him in it, I battled through the rest of my shift, smiling benignly at mothers bringing their wriggly children in to buy new school shoes, elderly people looking for a comfortable pair of flats, women buying heels for upcoming weddings, and I wished I lived a different life. I left work a few hours later to find Frank hanging around outside smoking a cigarette. I still remember the flutter I felt in my stomach at the sight of him. The realization that he was waiting for me and that dreams really could come true. He stubbed his cigarette out and drifted over to me, his gaze on mine, and when he invited me for a walk, he might as well have been asking for my hand in marriage. I was his, for as long as he wanted me. But he didn't want me, or at least not then. Frank would soon be going back to university for his second year, and he had no desire to leave town with a girl back home. He told me about his new digs, the housemates he would be living with, and I learned then that it was possible to be bitterly jealous of strangers that I would never meet. I was a brief summer flirt to him, a walk in the park, a kiss on the swings, and nothing more. We talked, or more accurately, I talked and he listened and smoked. He kissed me as often as he could, and I didn't protest when his hand wandered up my t-shirt. He told me I was beautiful, and he teased me about my innocence, but he made no promises, no declaration of faithfulness. I convinced myself that a fortnight with Frank was better than nothing, that my heart could take the strain. It couldn't. When he left, I tormented myself with thoughts of what he was doing, the girls he was taking home to his bed. I knew that students wouldn't be as prudish as I was, and there was no denying that Frank was infinitely more experienced than me. I only hoped that he wouldn't fall in love with anyone. But I also knew that, although it crushed me, I had no claim to him, and he could date whoever he wanted with a clear conscience. My hope that he would call me from university faded with each week that passed. I tried to concentrate on my schoolwork so that I might get good grades and impress Frank, but my mind constantly wandered as I dreamed about being with him again, seeing him standing on my doorstep and declaring his love for me. I got detentions for not paying attention in class, and the local boys labelled me stuck up when I spurned their advances. But I only wanted Frank. He didn't return the following summer. I went back to my job at the shoe shop and waited for him to walk through the door and take me in his arms. At home, I gazed out of the window and imagined him suddenly appearing, one hand tucked in his pocket and the other holding a cigarette. I imagined the look on my parents' face when this older boy knocked on the door asking to see me, and planned how I would sneak out if they banned me from going with him. In the end, I didn't need to worry because there was no sign of Frank. And so life went on. I tried to push him out of my mind. I concentrated on my A-levels, made it through the exams, and celebrated leaving school with my friends. It was nearly 2 years since my summer romance with Frank, and I should have forgotten all about him. I should have been excited about the carefree summer I had been looking forward to and a future full of possibilities. But Frank was still there, consuming my thoughts. Would he return again this summer? And would he come and find me? One scorching July day, I was hanging out with some friends on the high street when I saw him. His hair was shorter and his clothes smarter, but he was just as devastatingly handsome. When he spotted me, he smiled his lazy, confident smile and headed in my direction. My friends parted like curtains, watching this captivating stranger walk up to me with wide, curious, and greedy eyes. I vowed then that I was never going to let him go again. My vow was decimated less than half an hour later when Frank told me that he was moving to London in a few weeks. He'd come back to visit his parents for the summer before starting his new graduate job. I could no longer deny my feelings, and I immediately burst into tears. I think it was then that Frank realised just how much I adored him, how he had held the key to my heart for this entire time. He asked me, so very casually, if I wanted to go with him, and I didn't hesitate to say yes. I didn't care that my parents would go ballistic, or that I barely knew this beautiful man. There was no doubt in my mind that I was going to London with Frank. In the years that followed, I came to realise that Frank's invitation was spur of the moment. The reality, as harsh as it was to accept, was that if we hadn't seen each other that day, he would have gone off to London without a second thought for me. And I've wished to God that I'd never bumped into him. But at the time, I didn't consider any of this. As far as I was concerned, it was the most romantic thing that had ever happened to me, and it proved that Frank loved me too. I had a conditional place at a local university, pending my A-level results, but I knew I'd turn it down. Moving to London with Frank was a far more enticing option than spending the next 3 years living with my parents and sleeping in my childhood bed. It was the most dangerous and rebellious thing I'd ever done in my life. It was the Frank effect. Saying yes to Frank that day sealed my fate in ways I could never have imagined. I was too young, too naive, and too willing to give Frank every part of me before I even knew who I was. The truth is that I was lost before I'd even found myself. And by the time I'd realised what I'd done and who I had become, there was no way back. But I don't tell Beth any of this as we sit in the village cafe, sipping lattes. She messaged me a few days after the psychic supper, asking if I was okay and suggesting a coffee. The truth is that I am not okay, not after what happened. I've been going round in circles trying to make sense of it. My theories becoming more outlandish as my paranoia grows. Was it a coincidence? Did Zara somehow plant the key to boost her credibility? And the worst one, is Frank watching me? Today, I try to forget about it and concentrate on enjoying my coffee with Beth. I hadn't been out much since the psychic supper, and it's good to have something to do. But I'm nervous too, my keenness to impress Beth competing with my social anxiety. I don't want to ruin the chance to make a friend, and yet I can't think why she wants to see me again. You didn't miss much after you left, Beth tells me, as she rips